Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachakwadash, Barakatah. Double honors to the elders and the apostles and the righteous men of Great Millstone who teach us this truth and righteousness and sincerity and in brotherly love. And salutations to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 men of Yasharallah and the 1/3 men, women, and children of Yasharallah. Shalom. This is your brother Shamya, coming back at you one more time from the Great Millstone held in the Montana camp. We just gonna jump right into it. And we always like to make a disclaimer. We are not a hate group and we are not an extremist group. We are a truth group and we only bring out the truth according to the Bible, according to the word of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Okay? So the Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, the Spirit jumped on me to do this lesson because I was at the plantation a couple of days ago, and pretty much I was helping out this Edomite woman, right? And as I was helping her out, she dropped something. Basically, she dropped something, it was a piece of paper. So as I'm checking her out, I pick up the piece of paper. Because I thought it was maybe like her grocery list or something. But I pick up the piece of paper and I open it up. But she didn't see me do it because she was doing her thing. But I pick up the piece of paper and I open it up, and what was written on it was Philippians 4:4. So then when I saw it, I looked at it, I was like, what the fuck? It's just one of those Edomites that took our book, took our scriptures, and then they try to apply it to them. So when I seen the piece of paper and it said Philippians 4:4, I was like, okay, oh, we go. Here's an Edomite Christian, you know what I'm saying? And she think that, the Lord it loves everybody and the Lord is coming back for everybody. And I'm pretty sure she believes that the Lord's name is Jesus Christ, but that's not the Lord's name. The Lord's name is Yahweh Shai Mashiach. But anyway, when I seen it, I was like, oh, here we go. When I seen Philippians 4:4 on a piece of paper, I said, oh, here we go. Here's a wacky-tacky Christian that don't understand the scriptures and don't have a clue what the scriptures is talking about. And the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, the Spirit jump on me to instantly do a lesson, because I was like, you know what, this is just a piece of paper, I'll just give it back to her or just throw it away. No, it's like the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai instantly had the Spirit jump on me to know. It's like, Shami, do a lesson from this, which I'm going to do. So Philippians 4:4, okay? And I'm going to title this lesson, Israel Rejoice in the Lord. Now, Philippians 4:4, right? I'm going to read this real quick, because this is in the New Testament, and this is what these Edomite wacky-tacky Christians do. They'll take a verse like this and then they'll say, and then they'll apply it to themselves, when this has nothing to do with the heathen ass nations. Philippians 4:4. This is just one of the verses that they use. I'm going to read this real quick. This is Philippians 4:4. And all praise to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, hallelujah. Philippians 4:4, it says, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. So then they can take this verse, like a verse like this, and then they apply it to themselves, and they'll just say, look, everybody can rejoice in the Lord, and Jesus Christ is going to save everybody, and everybody can rejoice in the Lord. This is not talking about you heathens. When it says this in this particular verse right here, well, first, all we got to do is read verse 1. When it says this, Philippians 4:4, it says this, therefore, I'm going to put this up to the camera too. See right there, Philippians 4:4. See, because they'll jump right down to verse 4 and then they'll just say, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. And that's it. No, you got to, well, they say, take everything, put everything in context, keep everything in context. That's what these wacky-tacky Christians say. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Well, we always do it. Okay, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and the elders, apostle, Great Millstone, the Lord set up. Now notice, it says Philippians 4:4, it says, therefore, my brethren, dearly beloved and longed for my joy and crown, so stand fast in the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, my dearly beloved. And we know that this is talking about Israelites. The Lord's people is his beloved, okay? That's the Lord's beloved. Okay? And then it says but then all of us Akim, you know, all of us the faithful servants of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, we are showing brotherly love towards one another, and we are beloved towards one another. We know that the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is he's our beloved, and we're the Lord's beloved, Israel. But amongst the Akim, you know, we show him brotherly love, and we're beloved towards one another. This is what this is talking about right here. But then, like I said, I'm going to put this back up to the camera, because notice I have the word brethren circled. And then I got Romans 9:3 right there. Now, if you look into that word brethren, right? Because don't these wacky-tacky Christians, they'll jump down to verse 4. But if you look into that word brethren, the Strong's Concordance for brethren here in Philippians 4:4 is Strong's Concordance G80, which is talking about your own kinfolk, your own brother, according to the flesh. How do we know? When Romans 9:3. We go to Romans 9:3, and this is what it says. Romans 9:3. I'm gonna put this up to the camera, because we do these lessons for the edification of the elect, 144,000, and the 1/3 men, women, and children of Yasharallah. See right there in Romans 9:3, for it says, "For I can wish that myself were accursed from a Mashiach for my brethren." See, just like how it says in Philippians 4:4, my kinsmen according to the flesh, verse 4, who are Israelites. Romans 9:3. See how it says brethren? Philippians 4:4, it says brethren. Both of those verses in Romans 9:3 and in Philippians 4:4 have the same concordance, brethren. Strong's Concordance G80, adelphos in the Greek, which means your own kin according to the flesh, your kinsmen. We just read it in Romans chapter 9 and verse 3. Then we read verse 4 when it says, who are Israelites. So this verse in Philippians 4:4 has nothing to do with you heathen-ass nations, but yet y'all just take the verses and then just apply it to you. No, this is not concerning you. This is Philippians 4:4. I'm going to read it again. It says, rejoice in the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, always. And again, I say, rejoice. We know who this is talking about because we read Philippians 4:1 when it says, therefore, my brethren. It's concerning Israel. Israel rejoice in the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This is what this is talking about. Philippians 4:4. Now check this out. Philippians 4:4. Okay. Philippians 4:4. From Philippians 4:4, I'm going to go to Psalms 149 and read verse 1 to 2, just to get more proof that this Philippians 4:4 is talking about Israel rejoicing in the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This is Psalms chapter 149. Call Allah Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Kakwadash Hallelujah. This is Psalms 149. Psalms 149. And I'm going to put this up to the camera. Now the title right here in Psalms 149. It says, right there, we see it. Right there, it says, rejoice in the King. And Israel always rejoices in the Almighty King, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because the Lord is the Almighty King of Kings and Almighty Lord of Lords. Psalms 149, verse 1 to 10, it says, praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of his saints. We know who the saints are. You see the precept right there, Psalms 148 and 14. The saints are the Israelites. Verse 2, see, it says, let Israel. That showed you who's the saints. It says, let Israel rejoice. Just like what it says in Philippians 4:4, right? Philippians 4:4, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. It didn't say nothing about the heathens rejoicing in the Lord, only Israel. Psalms 149 and 2, let Israel rejoice in him that made him, and let the children of Zion be joyful in their King. Let Israel rejoice. This is us. This is talking about us. Let's go to Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 14. Because Israel rejoices in the Lord, not no damn heathens. This is only concerning Israel. This is Zephaniah chapter 3. Zephaniah 3 and 14. This is Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 14. It reads, and I'm going to put this up to the camera. This is Zephaniah chapter 3. And see, we see how what it says right there for the title by verse 9. In the NIV, it says the title, Restoration of Israel's Remnant. So this is talking about us. This is a prophecy. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 4. I'm going to start verse 13 first. It says this: the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. For they shall feed and lie down, and none shall make them afraid. Verse 14, sing, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O Israel. Be glad and rejoice with all the heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Just like how it says in Philippians 4 and 4, rejoice. Psalms 149, verse 1 and 2, rejoice. Israel, rejoicing. We just read it in Zephaniah 3 and 14. Let's get another precept. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 10. Let's see what that says. Now the title in the New Living Translation to Zechariah chapter 2, it says future prosperity of Jerusalem. This is all concerning Jerusalem, baby. Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 10. It reads, I'm going to put this up to the camera. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. Zion, who is Zion? That's Israel, us. For lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee. This is the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai speaking. The Lord is telling his people, Israel, Yasharallah, to rejoice in the Lord. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee, said the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai. And there you go. Zion, Yerushalayim. Okay, Israel, that's us. Okay. Now, but then what I want to do too is see how verse 11, but then they'll read that, say, he forgot to read verse 11. He said, and many nations shall be joined to the Lord. See all, nope. That's no, what they think is talking about, that's not what it's talking about. We're going to prove it. It says, and many nations shall be joined to the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, in that day, and shall be my people. So they'll take that verse, like, these heathens say, see, the Lord said many nations do, and we're going to be the Lord's people too. Nope. It says, and many nations, they don't understand the scriptures. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai of hosts have sent me unto thee. Now, what is this talking about when it says many nations shall be joined? Because the nations that we were scattered in. How do we know? Well, all we got to do is go to Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 12. That's all we got to do. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai and the elders apostle great millstone the Lord set up. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 12. And this is what it reads. I'm going to put it up to the camera. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to read verse 11 first. It says this. It says, and it shall come to pass, this is a prophecy too. And it shall come to pass, because this is what these wacky tacky Christians, they don't go into the scriptures or the prophecies the right way. Okay? It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which is Israel, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Hamath and from the lands of the sea. Verse 12 is the kicker. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, all the nations that the Lord scattered us in, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. That's why it says right here in Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 11, it says, and many nations shall be joined to the Lord. How do we know? We just read it right here in Isaiah chapter 11 verse 12. All the nations that we were scattered in, the Lord is going to gather the outcasts of Israel. Okay? That's why it says it right there. Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 11. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and thou shalt know that the Lord Yahweh Shemel of hosts have sent me unto thee. Okay? All the nations that the Lord scattered us in, he's going to gather us. That's what it says in Isaiah chapter 11 verse 12. I'm going to read it again. And shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcast of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. And there you go. Now this is Isaiah chapter 12 and verse 6. Okay? Isaiah chapter 12 and verse 6. I'm going to read it. Right here, Isaiah chapter 12 and verse 6. It says, cry and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of thee. This is Isaiah chapter 12 and verse 6. Amplified Version translation, it reads, rejoice and shout for joy, O inhabitant of Zion, for great in your midst is the Holy One of Israel. Let's go to the New Testament now, see what it says in Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19. This is Luke chapter 19 in the New Testament. Luke chapter 19 and verse 37. This is what it says. Luke chapter 19 verse 37 in the New Testament. It reads this. And when he was come nigh, even now at the descent of the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples, because all the disciples were Israelites. We got many lessons to prove that too. The whole multitude of the disciples began to rejoice and praise Yahweh with a loud voice for all the mighty works that they had seen. And there you go. Okay. Now, because Israel rejoiced. Now let's go back to Psalms, but this time we're going to go to Psalms chapter 53. Psalms chapter 53. Psalms chapter 53 and verse 6. It reads, oh, that salvation of Israel will come out of Zion. When it didn't say nothing about the other heathen nations receiving salvation. It says salvation of Israel. That's Isaiah 45 and 17. But Israel should be saved in the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. Salvation is only for Israel. This is Psalm chapter 53 and verse 6. It says, oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, when Yahweh bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. So how do you go to Philippians 4 and 4 and these heathen ass nations try to make it seem like that's talking about them, when the Lord clearly said right here in Psalms 53 and 7, it says, when Yahweh Bashim shall bring it back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice. Jacob shall, let me put this up to the camera. When Yahweh shall bring it back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice. Jacob shall rejoice. Jacob shall rejoice. It didn't say nothing about no heathen ass nations. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. So now it makes more sense when we read Philippians 4 and 4. Let's read, go to Psalms 14 and 7. Psalms 14 and 7. Psalms 14 and 7. It says this. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, just like what we read in Psalms 53 and 6. We're going to read it again in Psalms 14 and 7. Oh, that the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion, when the Lord Yahweh Shemel bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. We read it in Psalms 53 and 6. And we just read it in Psalms 14 and 7. This is concerning only Israel. So then what I did was the Lord Yahweh Shem Shah, the Spirit jumped on me to Google AI Philippians, right? When I did an AI mode search, when I typed in Philippians, right, and then I put rejoice Israel, right? This is what it says in the AI mode. It says biblical parallel in the Old Testament, the prophet Zephaniah, and then it gives you the precept Zephaniah 3 and 14. We read it in the beginning of the lesson. It says similarly commands, shout aloud, O Israel, rejoice and exult with all your heart, which is often cross-referenced with Paul's command in Philippians. That's what we read, Philippians 4 and 4. I'm going to read it again. This is the AI mode. It says Philippians, rejoice Israel. Because that's what it says in Philippians 4 and 4. I mean, it says when it says rejoice. Matter of fact, we're going to read it again. Philippians 4 and 4. We're right to it. The water. It says, rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. How do we know it's talking about Israel? Because we just proved it when we looked at did a AI search. It says AI mode, Philippians, and it's rejoice Israel. It says biblical parallel. In the Old Testament, the prophet Zephaniah, and it gives Zephaniah 3:14, similarly commands, shout aloud, O Israel. Rejoice and exult with all your heart, which is often cross-referenced with Paul's command in Philippians. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash Barakatah. Double honors to the elders and the apostles and the righteous men of great millstone who teach us this truth and righteousness and sincerity and in brotherly love. Let's stay strong, Akim. Rejoice in our power. Almighty King of Kings and Almighty Great Lord of Lords, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Let Israel rejoice in the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Kwam Yasharala. Shalom.